because we're the Yeasayers, right? And this is
Yeah.
uh, started out as say yes to success. Yeah.
So yes to success.
Let's let's consider the people who are like mega successful or who at least have gained like success in their, whatever they do at some level.
Hmm.
Can you even do that without being yourself? Isn't
Yes.
I feel like being yourself is a key to unlock that, but curious about what you think.
Longevity. It's the key to longevity, I believe. It's not the key
Mm,
to necessary success, because there's always like your one hit wonders. Now, do you
right.
consider one hit wonders successful? Because I mean, they hit the spotlight for whether it be a year or two. Um,
Do you? What do you think is success?
I think it's self-defined to some extent, but I
Yeah.
mean, success. Yeah, success is subjective. I don't think it's necessarily objective. But when it comes to, like, if somebody was in a couple movies, big blockbuster movies, sure, I'd say they're successful. They made a lot of money. They made a name for themselves to some extent.
Mhm.
And as long as they're happy with it, then that's success.
Mm.
But there's a lot. I mean, especially coming from the YouTube side of things, and that being kind of where I live most of my life, there are so many copycats of big time YouTubers, and they're not authentic to who this person is, and yet they still have brief periods of success in that career.
But
there
not
it's
long
like
periods?
not usually, no.
Ah.
Yeah, usually they'll
Ah.
blow up and then die out because they follow trends. It's what they're doing. It's like people that follow trends in music and they don't make a good next album because they're not able to just experiment with who they are. They just stick with the status quo of whatever trend that they were a part of, and then they lose
Mm.
all sense of following because people move on. You know what I mean? So,
Wow. That reminds me of like the end of the book. I'm not sure if you got here, but he's talking about when he went on when he actually, took the role of being host of the Late Late Show.
mhm,
And he it's a similar story where like he kind of had to find his way to be good at it. First of all, he said that when you become a new host, like people just everybody just like hate you by default immediately. Like you
mhm,
get all sorts of hate, right? And then
mhm.
you also get some love, but you get all
It's
sorts of hate.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said that luckily his fellow not fellow hosts, but like other hosts are kind of like a support community where they reached out and, even the ones he didn't really talk to that much, like reached out with best wishes because they all know what it's like.
Mhm.
And at one point, so he was kind of like day in and day out. He started by following the formula, kind of like what you're talking. He started by following the formula of the late night shows, and he kind of like knew it was terrible, right? Because again, he's his own person. Like think he
Mhm.
always knows when he doesn't like something, and he's like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is terrible," right?
Very
Kind
vocal about it.
of
Yeah.
like you. You're like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. Um, but he tries that, and it's like, you know, he's doing it, but it's not the best, and then he tries, like, a couple different iterations, and there's this one point where he does a show, and he just decides to, like, go off the cuff and kind of just make some authentic comments about, for instance, all the tapes that he studied before his first audition and some other stuff, like, thoughts he had, and, and then I think one of the producers tells him, like, "Whatever you did there, just like that's great. Do that." Um, and then he also gets advice from Regis Philbin, who takes him out to lunch, and he says what that means is that they went to lunch together and he paid, not Regis. Um, but he says his advice to him is to be himself. Be yourself, make it your own, and that's how you do the show. So there's something to be said for that, like, and also feeling that. I feel like things feel so much better when you are working out of authenticity rather
Of
than
course.
trying to copy somebody else or a formula or something.
Of course. I mean, I recently had that issue, or like an example of that the other day.
Mm,
I try to record these YouTube videos where I just kind of
mhm,
tell stories and then go into it from there, and um, just kind of expand on that into some sort of life lesson. And
mhm,
I wrote a script for the last one that I did because I was trying to remember all the things of this story. So I was like writing out the script. Then I went to record it and I couldn't do it. I was
mhm.
sitting there because I like the problem was is I it wasn't natural. It was
Yeah.
so scripted and so like me trying too hard to hit the
Mhm.
different points and like the different formula per se, and it just didn't like I hated it. I hated every second of it.
Huh.
There was just something weird to it. Yeah, like I have a lot of fun while recording these things, and that one I was just nervous the whole time because like I felt like there was this weird feeling of like a checklist. It's like, okay, did you say that? Check. Did you say that? Check. Did you say that? Check. Like in that, and when I don't have that, I'm able to just tell a story. But when have this notion of like the next checklist or next bullet on the list so that I have to go through, it just ruins it for me.